among the most visible black leaders of the past quarter century, but so far he hasn't endorsed anybody for president. He himself ran a stout campaign for the Democratic nomination 4 years ago that included relatively strong showings in Maryland and in D.C., but his presence on the trail this year has been relatively unfelt. Why? Here he is. We're going to ask him. He's the Reverend Al Sharpton, president of the National Action Network. He joins us now with his reaction to last night's primaries. Rev, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Good to talk to you, Tucker.
So I think you're the only person I know who's not jumping on the Obama train. How come?
Well, I said from the beginning that when I decided not to run, I had told the board of National Action Network that I was going to try and focus on civil rights issues and try to keep them in the forefront. And that's what I've done. Yesterday, in fact, I was at the White House, strangely enough, listening to George Bush finally address hangman nooses and the lynch words that you and I have argued about on here, that now George Bush has even come out. So I'm very comfortable in dealing with the civil rights agenda of National Action Network,
but wait a second.
I'm watching very closely the campaign.
But don't you want to kick Hillary when she's down? Everyone else is.
Well, it's not about kicking Hillary when she's down. What I'm very concerned about, is that they don't kick the voters. This whole, in the last 24 hours, this whole discussion of trying to have the DNC seat the Michigan and Florida delegates, to me, that speaks of a civil rights issue. That's not about kicking Hillary or kicking anyone. This is about making sure that the voters are not kicked and not disenfranchised.
Well,
I don't see how
I agree
you
with
have
you.
that kind of situation.
Well, I agree with you, and I think it's admirable that you're coming out on this issue because it's an important one. It hasn't gotten enough attention. But when you say that coming out against seating delegates from these two states, which are not, as you just said, by Democratic rules supposed to be really in play, is theft, which it is, you're coming out directly against Hillary Clinton. You said this, quote, "I hear all the time from people in Florida and Michigan that they want their voices heard in selecting the Democratic nominee." In other words, she's bowing to the will of the people by trying to steal the nomination. So you are coming out against Hillary.
What I'm saying is that if it was the other way around, I would have the same position. As you started, I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone's campaign. I'm speaking as one that says that if I went to Florida in 2000, as I did, and questioned what was going on with the Republican recount, we can't now sit back in the same state of Florida and in Michigan 8 years later and see the Democratic Party, and by that mean the Democratic National Committee, change the rules and not raise the question of disenfranchisement. You must be consistent. And what was promoted and what was told to the people cannot now be reversed because there's some in the party that says, oh, no, this is going to be a scenario we don't want. And we're going to aggressively fight that.
I think you are standing on principle in this case, and I appreciate it. Why do you think Barack Obama won 90% of the black vote, 90% of the black vote in some recent contest? That's not... I mean, that's a profound statement about something. What does it mean?
I think it's a profound statement that a lot of African Americans see his campaign as a campaign of hope. But I think it's also a statement when he won white male votes, the majority. When he won the youth vote, he won senior votes. So I think one of the things that Obama's campaign has done is broke out of just a segregated kind of polling. And I think that he is not a black candidate, a white candidate. I think that he's drawing from everywhere now, and I think that's good for America.
But wait a second. 90% is actually a segregated number. I mean, that's everybody. And this is a race where the
But Tucker, that would be segregated.
I'm not attacking it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I think it's more than just they happen to be choosing Barack Obama. These are candidates whose positions are literally almost identical on everything. So I've never seen any indication, well, voters like his position on this over her position on that. I mean, do you think there's really... you think that's just it? They just happen to like him better? Come on.
No, I think that vote. See, you and I may define segregation differently. Segregated would be if he got 90% of African American vote and 5% of other votes. That's not true. He got the majority of votes in every community.
Yes,
he may have gotten more in the African American community because they may have known him better and longer. But he by no means is just getting the majority there. He's getting the majority across the board. Yep. And I think that is why his campaign has caught the kind of fire of hope that it has. It's not a lopsided victory.
Well,
it seems to be evenly across the board.
Well, I agree with you. I guess the point I'm making, I'm not being very clear. I think that black voters in particular, all voters, but black voters in particular, are rejecting the Clintons after the loathsome injection of race you saw by their campaign into the South Carolina primary race. When Bill Clinton came out and compared Barack Obama to Jesse Jackson, I think those are coded words that people are smart enough to understand, and they're rejecting the Clintons because of that.
Well, I think, again, I'm not speaking for Obama. I'm not speaking for anybody. I'm not in anyone's camp. But I would say maybe people are affirming a candidacy that is addressing some of the wants and needs that they have. And rather than make it a negative, maybe a positive. Well, I'm seeing a lot of young people around this country, white and black, and now even seniors, that are more saying to me that they're voting in what they believe rather than protesting something that they don't believe. And that's good.
Well, I think the Clintons are being punished for using the race card, and I'm glad to see it. But, Rev, I'm really glad you're here. Thank you very much.
Take care, Tucker, and let's keep the voters enfranchised in both Florida and Michigan.
Amen. Power to the people. Thanks, Rev.